Welcome to Dark Character Profiler. Take a deep dive into the background and personalities of villains from books, video games, manga, and comics. Psychological analysis of some of the most deviant and heinous characters of all time. Now, here's Fulcrum.
Welcome to Dark Character Profiler, where we step into the minds of fiction's most infamous figures. I'm Fulcrum, your host and guide into the shadows. Each episode, I take you beyond the story and into the psychology, exploring motives, diagnoses, and the darker truths that drive these characters. Together, we'll uncover what makes them tick, what breaks them, and why their darkness continues to fascinate us. Let's begin.
Dark Character Profiler.
Today, we're revisiting a character who was the subject of my very first episode, Tom Riddle, better known as Lord Voldemort. When I launched this podcast, my goal was to explore the psychology of dark and complex characters, but the format you're hearing today has evolved a lot since then. This is not just a repeat of that original episode. It's a complete re-examination using the full structure we've developed over the past 11 months. That means a formal referral reason, a comprehensive forensic profile, a DSM-5 TR diagnostic breakdown, and my own reflections on his behavior and motivations. We'll also compare Voldemort to historical figures, analyze his ideology, and take a closer look at the fears that drove him to become the Dark Lord. So, if you've been with me since the beginning, I think you'll hear how far this show has come. And if you're new, this is the perfect way to experience what Dark Character Profiler is all about. Let's open the case file on Lord Voldemort. The subject of today's episode is Tom Riddle, also known as Lord Voldemort, from the Harry Potter book series by J.K. Rowling from 1997 to 2007. The evaluator will be myself, Fulcrum. The date of compilation is 2025. And the assessment type is Clinical Forensic Composite. The referral reason. Voldemort has been referred for psychological evaluation due to his extensive record of violent crimes, genocidal ideology, and repeated acts of terrorism in the wizarding world. This assessment seeks to identify underlying psychopathology, evaluate his patterns of behavior, and determine the clinical and forensic risks he presented to society. Background information. Tom Riddle was born in 1926 to Merope Gaunt, a witch descended from Salazar Slytherin, and Tom Riddle Sr., a muggle. His mother died shortly after childbirth, leaving him orphaned and raised in a London orphanage. From a young age, Tom demonstrated cruelty, manipulation, and early signs of magical ability, such as controlling snakes and terrorizing other children. At Hogwarts, he excelled academically and socially, concealing his true sadism under a charming facade. Obsessed with power and immortality, he uncovered the secrets of Horcruxes, dividing his soul to anchor himself to life. He later rebranded as Lord Voldemort, rejecting his Muggle heritage, and rose to power twice as the most feared dark wizard of his age. Trauma history. Parental abandonment. His father left before his birth. His mother died immediately after childbirth, and his mother's parents wanted nothing to do with him because he was half Muggle. Institutional upbringing. He was raised in an orphanage devoid of affection. He developed mistrust and contempt for others. Identity conflict. He struggled with his mixed heritage. He experienced self-hatred of his Muggle blood-fueled supremacist ideology and fear of death. He experienced deep existential terror of mortality, leading to obsession with immortality through Horcruxes. Mental status exam. Appearance. Pale, serpentine visage, physically altered by dark magic. Affect and mood. Cold, detached, rage-prone when challenged. Speech. Commanding, articulate, and persuasive. Thought process. Logical but rigid, dominated by obsession with power and fear of death. Insight. Severely impaired. Lacks awareness of his psychological fragility. And judgment. Functionally strategic but morally corrupt. Personality and behavioral profile. Big 5 personality traits. Openness, high. Innovative and magically creative. Conscientiousness, high. Disciplined and meticulous. Extroversion, low. Aloof and values dominance over social bonds. Agreeableness, very low. Manipulative, cruel, and distrustful. Neuroticism, high. Fearful, rageful, and defensive. Behavioral themes. Manipulation and seduction of followers. Prejudice and genocidal ideology toward Muggleborns. Rejection of intimacy, love, and vulnerability. And extreme risk-taking in pursuit of power. Moral beliefs and ideology. Supremacist worldview. Values, quote-unquote, pure blood wizardry above all else. Views love, compassion, and weakness with contempt. Believes fear is the most effective form of control. Core motivation, terror of death and insignificance. Interpersonal relationships. His followers, known as the Death Eaters, valued for utility and discarded when useless. Dumbledore saw him as the only true rival and intellectual equal. Harry Potter projected his own fears and failures onto him. Relationship was driven by prophecy and shared Horcrux bond. Family murdered his father and despises his heritage. Comparison to historical figures. The first historical figure is Adolf Hitler. Both him and Voldemort had an obsession with purity, authoritarian rule, and genocidal ideology. Next is Joseph Stalin. They were both paranoid, fear-based leaders and had a disregard for life. And third is Jim Jones. They were both charismatic cult leaders and used manipulative control through ideology. Before we continue with the episode, I want to take a moment to thank all of you who've been listening and supporting Dark Character Profiler. Every play, every follow, every vote on the polls really helps shape the direction of this show. I started this project because I wanted to dig deeper into the psychology of dark and complex characters. But it's the conversations with you, the listeners, that keep it alive. Your support means more than I can say, and I'm grateful to have you here with me each week as we explore the darker corners of fiction together.
Dark character profile.
Criminal behavior. Homicide. Multiple murders beginning in adolescence, including his father and paternal family. Terrorism. Established the Death Eaters as a paramilitary group. Genocide. Attempted extermination of all Muggleborns. Magical crimes. Horcrux creation, which is the splitting of the soul through murder. and torture. The repeated use of the Cruciatus curse for punishment and control.
And now, the final analysis. But first, just a little house cleaning.
This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. While we use the DSM-5 as a framework to provide psychological analyses of fictional characters, the discussions are not intended to diagnose, treat, or provide professional mental health advice. The interpretations shared are based on hypothetical scenarios and creative exploration and should not be applied to actual individuals or situations. For mental health concerns or diagnoses, please consult a licensed professional. Listener discretion is advised.
Dark character profile.
Simulated psychological test results. MMPI-2, which is the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. Elevated narcissism, paranoia, and antisocial tendencies. PCLR, which is the Psychopathy Checklist revised. His score would have been a 34 out of 40, meaning high psychopathy. And Thematic Apperception Test. Themes of domination, betrayal, and death. DSM-5 TR Diagnostic Impressions. 1. Post-traumatic stress disorder with a complex presentation. The criteria met includes childhood neglect and abandonment, intrusive memories of orphanage abuse, and emotional numbing, distrust, and hypervigilance. Based on Voldemort's background information and the requirements needed to meet the criteria for PTSD, I have found that the criteria for PTSD have been met. 2. Narcissistic personality disorder. Grandiose sense of self-importance. Quote unquote, I am Lord Voldemort. Preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited power and immortality. Believed he is unique and superior. Believing in pure blood ideology despite being only a half-blood. Requires excessive admiration and loyalty from his followers. Lacks empathy and is arrogant and displays haughty behavior. I found that Voldemort meets at least 6 of the DSM-5 TR criteria for narcissistic personality disorder. 3. Antisocial personality disorder. Repeated unlawful acts such as murder, terrorism, and torture. Deceit and manipulation for personal gain, even from his followers. Impulsivity and aggression. Reckless disregard for others' safety, and lack of remorse. After reviewing all of the information, I believe that Voldemort meets at least 5 of the criteria for antisocial personality disorder. And number 4, paranoid personality traits. Persistent distrust of others, reads betrayal into neutral acts, and projects weakness onto perceived enemies. Based on the criteria, I found that Voldemort presents with strong traits, but they are subsumed under narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder. Final impressions. Voldemort is a figure driven not by love of power alone, but by terror of death and insignificance. His early traumas calcified into a rigid worldview where control replaced connection and fear replaced affection. His story illustrates how unresolved trauma, unchecked narcissism, and obsessive ideology can distort not just an individual, but an entire society. That concludes this profile on the darker corners of the mind. Whether born from trauma, obsession, or the lust for power, these characters remind us just how thin the line is between order and chaos. If you found this analysis compelling, make sure to follow Dark Character Profiler on your favorite podcast platform. Leave a review and share this episode with others who dare to peek into the shadows. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and remember, the darkness is always closer than it seems.
Thank you for listening to Dark Character Profiler with Fulcrum. Listen every other Tuesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Podcasts. Humanity was not meant to live this way. Society is left to the mercy of murderers and cutthroats. Hear Paige Zaplin Dam's epic tale brought to life in an audiobook. For years, Slade had felt secure in the forest. I am from simple, humble beginnings. I was raised in the Ironwood by an Ogress, an Anaral. He saw immediately that she was beyond a healer's aid. Even a skilled witch could not help her recover from losing so much blood. Mother? Slade thought he wanted revenge. Instead, he got redemption. A kingdom of ash and steam. The Ogress's Son. A dystopian neo-Dark Age fantasy. Narrated by Rich Fraser. Now available on iTunes and Audible. I promise you I will find whoever did this and avenge you, Mother.